All right, everyone, another layer of polling has come in for New Hampshire. We're getting sporadic polling from the first four states. I really fucking hate it. I think Nevada's the only one with a couple of recent ones. It doesn't look good for Bernie Sanders. In the RCP aggregate, he's arguably fallen to third, is still kind of on the way down. He's already peaked. He's the first one, the anti-Biden, to peak and start receding. Kamala Harris is second. Warren is the only one who's maintained stability. She's the Ted Cruz of this race, probably. Biden's probably going to be their Trump, which means they'll lose in 2020 almost certainly. It'd be funny to watch. He'll probably end up being pressured to choose Kamala, by the way, as running mate. And that's the way that it is. But Bernie Sanders is now slipping behind in New Hampshire. He's like in fifth in one of these polls. That's not good. If Bernie Sanders can't pull off a win in New Hampshire, he will lose. I mean, he can't become nominee. New Hampshire is his bulwark. Each of the top four candidates have a state in the top first four states that they really need. For Biden as the front runner, it becomes automatically Iowa. If he can win Iowa, that boosts him up in the other states, and he probably gets Connect 4 at that point. He probably wipes everyone out before Super Tuesday. At that point, the electability issue's off the table, pending a major health crisis, and if he can just stagger through Super Tuesday, it won't matter. With a quarter of the states having voted at that point, Biden becomes the nominee. Don't look at the superdelegates. Don't look at the proportional allocation. Don't look at caucus versus primary. Just look at electability, because that's what's in the voters' minds. For about 40% of them, the only thing that matters is the person can beat Trump. If someone has won all four of the first states, won all of them, not like, oh, I won the first, came in second, got a third, then won the fourth. No, I mean like wipes everyone else out. That's it. It's completely over. So for Biden, it's Iowa. For Bernie Sanders, because Vermont is right next to New Hampshire, has a lot of legal reciprocity with it, and Bernie Sanders is majorly popular in New Hampshire, if he can't win New Hampshire, he's fucking done. Kamala Harris, because she's going on the I'm a minority ticket, needs South Carolina. And then Elizabeth Warren, because she's a Cherokee, she needs Nevada, because there's a lot of Native American voters there. Or oh, that's right, she's not actually Cherokee. That's why she'll probably lose the state, because she alienated them all. So she can't prove that she can regain that voting block. Look, for a swing state like Nevada, to some extent Colorado, a little bit less, certainly for a lean blue state, New Mexico, where something like, isn't it like 20-25% of the population there has Native American heritage in New Mexico? What about Arizona? Arizona's got a significant proportion of Native American voters there, and the Democrats are constantly talking about wanting to target Arizona because it's been slowly moving more blue. What about Texas? I know it's a smaller vote there, maybe 5-10%, but it's still there. Yeah, the Democrats do not want a candidate who can't capture that very small but very important voting block in the area of the country reliably becoming more blue, because they got to do something to counterbalance the Rust Belt that's now moving more red. And with swing voters looking like they're going to break heavily for Trump, and with white working class turnout now apparently at higher levels than in 2016 potentially, the Democrats have an uphill battle. They don't even realize it, even though Trump's at 45% approval. So when I look at these first polls and I say, this candidate with no redeeming qualities might lose in the state he'd be heavily favored in, Sanders should drop out. If Sanders were to drop out today, Biden might actually have a viable competitor in Elizabeth Warren, because I bet most of the support would go to her. The Bernie bros don't really like female candidates because some of them are misogynistic, but I have a feeling that they would glom onto one of those two campaigns. It'd be really funny if they went to Biden. They're like, well, we'll just settle for Joe because he's a white male like Bernie is, and old, because apparently they like that too. If you're willing to back a candidate who's fucking, almost an octogenarian against Trump, who clearly doesn't have the capability of winning anyway, you probably don't care as much about electability if you're a Sanders voter at this point. I would say this. It'd be really, really funny to see him fail in New Hampshire. I hope it happens, because it'll be a final rebuke to end the career of an ignominious old hack that has troubled this state since the 1970s. As a Vermonter against Bernie Sanders, it would please me if New Hampshire refused to vote for him. It would be very, very funny. It'll also be interesting on Super Tuesday, Vermont is Super Tuesday state, to see what proportion he gets here in the Democratic primaries. Probably an overwhelming majority, but I mean, it could come up short of what he got in the primaries in 2016 if he loses New Hampshire. If it becomes clear, if electability is off the table for him because he loses all four of the first states, You know, some people might just say, oh, fuck, I guess it's never Bernie after all. The Democrats managed to screw him up the ass. It's chocolate style. They did that in 2016. Look, they coronated Hillary Clinton. There were email releases from the Clinton camp and from the DNC showing the DNC was openly colluding with the legacy media to front Clinton. They've sided with her over Sanders and structured things to try to get her to be the nominee. That is clear. They did everything they could to make sure Hillary Clinton was the nominee because they didn't believe Sanders could win. While I happen to agree with them, the way they went about it was so dishonest and so greasy. I don't blame 10% of Sanders voters for staying home. By the way, that did cost them the election, kinda, sorta. That's the DNC's own fucking fault. I'm glad Hillary Clinton lost. She would have been a disaster. We'd probably be in a recession and a major war right now if Clinton had been elected. I have no doubt whatsoever that the latter would be true. She openly alluded to wanting war. She was warmongering after Iran back before it was fashionable. Imagine her trying to fit in with the modern Democratic crowd with the far left. She would probably, by the way, face obstruction within her own party, similar to what Trump faces from the Never-Trumpers. Have you thought about that fact? Do you think that the AOCs of the party really, well, if they rose to power anyway, with a Democrat in the lead, do you think, honestly, that they wouldn't have stood in the way of Clinton's neoliberal warmongering? I think they would. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, they would, at least ideologically on that, they would stick to their guns. Oh, they'd make things a living hell for Hillary Clinton. Might have been funny. Maybe we should have voted for Hillary after all, because watching her have a nervous breakdown because members of her own party refused to support her would have been hilarious. It would have been funny to see her be treated the same way Trump is treated, to a lesser degree, of course, because the legacy media would fawn over her. You got a Clinton in the White House. The legacy media doesn't dare to conduct investigative journalism anymore. They don't fucking say a thing. They don't care how slimy the Clintons get. They won't say it. They don't want to shoot themselves 3 times in the back of the head, so to speak. That's why I don't believe the blackmail tale of Epstein and Clinton. I think that if Bubba Bill was going there and doing illicit things, he chose to do that, probably helped fund Epstein the whole way. I don't think it had a... No, not blackmail in Bill's case. Anyone but Bill, maybe. With him, with the Clinton Mafia behind him, I don't think anyone want to tangle with that shit. Berniesanders might lose New Hampshire. And if he does, he's done. Just like, I mean, again, if Biden gets the first 4, and he could, polling shows, he's a consistent front runner even before he got in. He's never been behind in any of these states. I think there was one poll in Iowa that showed him behind Warren once. For the most part, he's ahead in everything. He could sweep the first 4. If he does no other major mistakes before at least like if he goes into the next debate, does a decent job, doesn't make any major gaffes, Kamala Harris and Bernie drop off the face of the earth. Buttigieg has probably already peaked, although he could rise up again. He has a really good second debate performance. Warren is his only major adversary. I don't think that Elizabeth Warren really has the it factor. Biden has the name recognition. He has the fact that he's got Obama invisibly over his shoulder like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and people know that. That helps. It gives them nostalgia for the last decade for some stupid reason. You're nostalgic for a period in which most of the job growth was flipping burgers and the United States was on the decline on the world stage, and you were paying a lot more in taxes generally. If you've got nostalgia for that era just because Obama was good at speaking, my goodness, cult of personality definitely applies. I would love to have seen your mind snap from the inside. I would love to see it the moment that it burned out due to propaganda nonstop. But these are the same people that are like Orange Man bad. They gobble up this sheep-like fucking corporate swill as though it was tasty. You gotta be a fucking loser. Fucking sellout. Fucking corporate pawn mind slave. That's basically what they are. But I hope Sanders loses New Hampshire. Or it's a squeaker, like he gets it, but it's like by fucking 1 vote or something. Like that would probably hit him even harder. If he might drop out if he loses New Hampshire. He might say, well, there's really no way forward here. Biden's going to sweep them all, so why am I even here in the race? Or he'll stick it out to embezzle money and get a 4th house. Sort of like he did last time. People were like, oh, well, he sold one of his houses before he bought the new one. Yeah, but I mean, he's still got 2 homes. He's still got 2 above average homes. He's this socialist. He's talking about the rich people are bad and stuff like that. He's rich. Okay, he's not as rich as Mitt Romney. Who fucking cares? He's still rich. It was like when people were comparing Obama to Romney. Oh, Obama only has $1 million home. He only has like 7 figures in his bank account. Romney has $100 million and 6 homes. Who fucking cares? They're both rich. Why don't you should enable me to live like Obama. Okay, all you hedge funders out there, give me $1 million and see what I do with it. By the way, I'd spend it better than Obama could. Yeah, I could live the rest of my life on that. You invest it wisely, you do the right thing with it. Yeah, you can do that. You can make it work. Be wonderful. Yeah. I'm still waiting for like fucking Ross Perot's cash out or something like that. That'd be fucking funny. Yeah, I think I'd get something a little more sophisticated than the C920 if I had that kind of income. But I mean, come on, dude. Sanders is still a wealthy dude, and he's ancient. He's breaking down. He's not the same Bernie you had in 2016. Do you really want to put him up in front of Trump? Number one, what if he has a stroke or something? He's old. He's almost 80. Can we just get to the point that that's the reality? He's no longer mid-70s Bernie. He's late 70s Bernie. That's number one. Number two, if he gets in there, he becomes president, he'll be a one-termer. He's not going to seek re-election. So you better hope that he picks a real good fucking running mate if he becomes your nominee. It matters a lot more than, like, if Kamala Harris runs, it doesn't really matter who she picks, because she's probably going to serve her term, at least first term. She'll be healthy, she'll be fine. Somebody like Warren is on the edge. She's like 70, okay. Buttigieg, he's in his late 30s, no problem. With someone like Biden, who's 75, or Sanders, who's 77, it begins to matter a lot more. It mattered when Trump chose. You got this dude, he's almost 70 on election day, he chooses Pence. He's just a little bit younger, kind of soft-spoken, in the background. He's sort of like a Dick Cheney style president, only he doesn't shoot people with birdshot on a regular basis and hasn't had fucking 5 heart bypass surgeries. So yeah, I'd say Bernie Sanders probably toast if these polls are true. We need more polling though. Why is there so little of it? Approaching the second debate, you got like 3 polls, 2 of which are outdated. Fuck that. God, you'd think that these people, they've got all the money in the world, some of these media groups, they can't even poll in the first 4 states to give people like me a general understanding of where the trajectory of the race is. You can't even build a trend line from the number of polls they've got. Morons. That's about all. Peace out.